Hello everybody, welcome to Signs and Wonders, our new pet project that we're getting off the ground, and I'm happy you could all be here for it. I'm here with Ollie Bobby, my co-host, and today's guest will be Margie, our in-house regression therapist, who you'll get to meet personally if you come to the Eclipse event. I will be covering all the information on that in the YouTube video that will be linked in the description box if you care to know the logistics of it all. Today, we're just going to talk about, what this podcast is going to be about. It will be a weekly event here on Patreon. We will, nothing is off the table. We're going to be discussing everything. Signs and symbols, alchemy, astrology, reality, consciousness. We're delving into what this place actually is, the who, what, where, when, why, and how of it all. Nothing is off the table. All opinions and points of view, we're going to try to cover them from every perspective. We'll be having different topics and guests throughout the season. This project is set up so that we can fund a tarot of pure alchemy cards with an attached book and inserts that will include the chakras, the Freemason tracing board, the Tree of Life in Kabbalah, the three crosses in astrology, alchemy, and in religion at Golgotha, and the three states of matter, because all things come in threes. So we're going to start this podcast with the three of us. Right now I'm going to introduce you to Ollie Bobby. He has a background in tarot, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself and how he came to be in tarot from his upbringing. And then we'll move on to our guest. Most of you know, coming from YouTube over here, you already know who I am and what my story is. All right, Ollie?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it real brief. Basically grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. Was very boxed in what we could believe or even talk about. But when I hit my Saturn return, all that came to an end. My life completely flipped. I left that and started to research into esoteric knowledge, where I met a lady who volunteered to teach me tarot. I knew nothing about alchemy or astrology or anything. So it was really the opening. It's how I got into all this. And she volunteered to teach me, so she taught me everything that, a beginner could know. And from there, when I stopped going to her, I started to really learn on my own. I took my own path, basically, and started to realize a lot of what is taught really isn't true. Eventually, I come across Lavette, 10 years later, and we start to develop a relationship and a friendship, and I feel like things are really moving forward as far as what really is.
Yes, what really is. I think that we have both come to realize that more than likely than not, that he's the apprentice I've been looking for. And we both seem to be trying to pull in different directions, but circumstances keep slamming us back together. So we're going to take this opportunity to just go with it and go with the flow instead of trying to go upstream in a boat without a paddle.
Oh, yeah.
Had my big holdback in everything is I didn't understand the symbolism of the tarot deck. It didn't make sense to me. Like astrology didn't make sense to me, and alchemy didn't make sense to me, and religion didn't make sense to me, and putting it all together. But he had the understanding of tarot that I didn't. And so I've tried to drain his knowledge on that, along with decks that different tarot decks that some of you have sent me. And that's when I came to the final conclusion that, each tarot deck is different because each artist is different. But it's the alchemy behind it, the symbolism in the art, that what we really need to understand. Because that zodiac is nature's magical, alchemical magic circle. And it's absolutely perfect. And it explains religion, it explains science, it explains math, and Kabbalah, and Gematria, and Freemasonry. It explains everything. There is no new thing under the sun. So, to make a tarot deck with no art and just the pure symbolism of it all, it's like a beginner's guide to alchemy, tarot, astrology, all of it. It will be all encompassing, right down from the stars all the way to the chakras in your body. It'll help even a child to understand symbolism. Before the flood, the earth spoke one language. It was just one tongue among all creatures, and that same language still exists today. It's just we've never been taught it. And in Egypt they would call it hieroglyphs. In the Americas we call them petroglyphs. But it's a language of symbology. And all symbology starts with 3 sticks, ironically enough. Any sigil has to have 3 parts. And everything starts with a sigil. This is how our alphabets are made. My whole getting into this was about language and communication. I have a strong Mercury obsession with being able to communicate and express myself. And I've never, once I woke up to what the symbolism really means, and how that alchemical wheel verifies the truth. You can't, men lie, books lie. Our religious books have been rewritten, tampered with. The scribes scribbled the scriptures and gave us Bible, Bibble, Babble at Babylon. And the elite, they're brought up knowing these symbolic languages. It's embedded in their art for centuries. Why do you think that art costs so much? Because there's a magical ritual embedded in those pieces that actually they travel through time with the creation of it. That magic will exist until those idols, images, icons are destroyed. Every symbol houses a frequency, and how we use them affects us. And as I began to understand alchemy and symbolism, I realized how it was being used against us. Confucius taught us that the world is not ruled by words or by laws, but by signs and symbols. Our dream state, our subconscious mind, nature and the universe, they don't communicate in language. They communicate in symbolism, just like the elite do in their art. The God of the Old Testament thought symbols were so powerful, so dangerous, that of only 10 laws for man to live by, the second law forbid any images, graven images, icons, signs, symbols, logos of anything in the water, the earth, or the air, because he was a burning bush fire god, one of the 4 elements. And we'll get into that, and that's a whole podcast on its own right there. But this one, we just want to get this thing off the ground, get it started, let you know what it is and where it's going. And next, we're going to introduce you to Margie. Again, who, if you show up to the Eclipse event in Tallahena, you'll get to meet. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, tell us a little bit about what she does and how she came to do it.
Hello everyone, I'm Margie and I am a little nervous, so bear with me. I've never done anything like this before, so it's a new experience. First off, I would like to thank you, Lavette, for having me here today. I'm so excited to co-create with you guys. And I'm from Texas, so when I get nervous, my twang might come out a little bit. About me, let's see.
What's your background?
My background.
Do you come from a religious background or a secular upbringing?
I was raised Lutheran.
Okay.
So I come from a pretty strict religious background. I had to go through catechism, and I was involved with the church pretty heavily until my first Saturn return, and then everything just got turned upside down. I was in a traumatic place in my life, and the things that I had two pastors, and they were contradicting one another on my circumstances and what I should be doing about it. And one was, stick to, it had to do with my marriage, and it was stick to your vows and through sickness and health. And the other one was telling me, if you're not happy, then you don't have to stay married. So I really started beginning to question the church and all my belief systems. So I've been studying psychology for almost 27 years now. I was majoring in mental health and sociology because I'm really fascinated with the way the human mind works and how we think and how we feel. So I've always been drawn to that. I was a very introverted child. I had some traumas at a very young age. And I would stutter really bad. I was just terrified of this place, and of people. And so I would just be silent and watch. And I'm also an empath, so I had a lot of trouble integrating other people's energies around me. And I was pretty much in a lot of narcissistic relationships throughout my whole life. It just seemed to be a pattern I couldn't break out of. So I started really looking at patterns within the human psyche. And they're just programs. There are belief systems, what society expects of us. So I just started questioning all of that. And how I came across you, Lavette, I had just broken my arse. And I was in extreme pain. And I was in a place of seeking of how do I get through this. And I came across one of your videos about 6 years ago, breaking the source code. And when I first started listening to you, I couldn't understand a lick of what you were saying. And I didn't know anything about the chakras. I didn't know anything about the planets and how they affect our emotions. And, it's all integrated. And then I started connecting the dots between the psychology that, I've been learning and everything that's going on above us. And it changed my whole dynamic, my whole world. I was in a place of darkness, and all my chakras were shut down. Everything was gray. Even food, had no taste. I had no zest for life whatsoever. And I even stopped listening to you for a minute because I didn't understand you. But something kept pulling me back and pulling me back. No, you need to know this. You need to know this. And then just one day, it's like something clicked in my brain, and I understood everything you were saying. And I downloaded Stellarium and followed your tutorials. And wow, what a journey it's been since I've connected those dots. So I got into I've always wanted to be a therapist to help others, but I found the fast track through hypnosis. And that basically allows you, I learned under Dolores Cannon. I'm sure a lot of your viewers are familiar with her work. And she came up with a method to not only take you through past lives, but to reach the subconscious mind, or the universal mind, or God, your source self. So through that modality, I'm able to go in and we look at events in your life and areas that you're concerned about, and we ask questions to the subconscious mind, and you get valuable insight into the patterns of your life. And what I help do is help you get rid of those false belief systems, help you dissolve those patterns that have been ingrained in you through society, through our parents, our grandparents, and help you rebuild your thought processes, and so you can be the best version of yourself. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here to become the best versions of ourselves, and then through that process we can help others, because we're in that time, as you know, where a lot of us are waking up. And I really use that term loosely. I never did like the new age woke,
Yeah.
All of that is just, I like to call it becoming. I feel we are becoming the versions of ourselves that we're always meant to be, because we are, as you know, energetic beings. We're just having a human experience. So that is what I do, and it would be my honor to assist whoever needs help in their lives at this point, because becoming can be a terrifying thing. This is not a journey for the faint of heart.
Yes, it is. I'll be glad to put Margie's information in the description box below in case you would care to contact her or watch some of her material, or even get your own regression therapy session.
Now, I must say, I'm new to this whole social media, and it's been a challenge, but I finally do have a Facebook page up. It's Symmetry of Soul, with capital S, capital O, capital S.
I'll leave the links.
Yeah, that would be great. So just bear with me. I am going to be putting up some sample sessions that I do have clients that have talked about the event that we're all, waiting on. So it's going to be exciting. So look for that new content.
I'll go into all about the gathering for the Black Sun eclipse in a different video, because it's pretty extensive, the information I have so far. And I will talk about some of it in videos between now and then. But the bulk of it I'm going to save for the event. We'll have the venue for at least 4 hours. I'm trying to get more time, but for as long as we can, because this is a lot of material to cover. But I'm going to cover everything. I will leave no stone unturned. We're going to go through what eclipses are, what they mean to different cultures around the world, how the elite have been using eclipses steadily for over 300 years now, since Halley learned to map eclipses, and they learned how the Maya mapped eclipses, and the priesthood have always known, and they've always used it against the people for control, but it has a much greater meaning than that, and we're going to get into all of that. It'll, like I said, it's going to be a pretty long lecture that I'm going to give. But today, we're just going to jump off the edge here with a basic introduction video. And like all my videos, this is unscripted. I don't even have notes for this. We're just doing it because to me, that's the best way. The Spirit will lead the conversation where it's supposed to go. And this podcast is going to be about signs and wonders. And that's what we're going to get into. And in our lifetimes, those of us who are alive now, there is no greater signs and wonders, especially for those of us in America, than these eclipses. You can literally say that since 2017, the Ring of Fire eclipse we had, and then this eclipse coming, all three of them, you could call them 3 days of darkness. There's nothing biblically that says they're consecutive. Again, I'm not one for what you call dispensationalism. I think that term and idea was used more to cover up the truth in the Bible than to reveal the truth in the Bible, or any other religion for that matter. But the basic of it all is going to be teaching these signs and symbols and what they mean and how they affect us personally as we walk day to day in our lives. We will be referring a lot to tarot and symbolism. which is why Ollie Bobby's in the house in his magic lamp. And we're going to do this. We're going to bring on guests. We'll take on questions and answers, which I'll also provide at the lecture. I'm going to leave the very last part open for any questions you might have. It will be a 3-day event. You will get, at least some of you will get to spend some time apart from the lecture if you care to join, and the different stuff we're going to be doing while we're there. Again, I'll lay all that out in the other video. I myself would like to at least introduce my idea of what's going on with symbolism in this video, get their opinions of what they're seeing and why it concerns me so much. Now, a lot of you already know that we've been lied to, even about what the symbols mean. I spent years in alchemy books and on occult.biz, and I really don't trust anything that I even read since Lucius Publishing got off the ground back in the late 1800s, because it's all been scribbled. It's been bibble-babbled. Everything is upside down. What they're telling us these symbols mean and what they actually are very different things. We have been lied to about everything, but the symbols don't lie. And they tell us the truth of what's going on right now. Like they're using the rainbow flag upside down. And instead of having your purple crown chakra on, you've got your red root chakra on your head, which is literally having a phallic symbol on your head. And you've got your crown shoved up your ass. So everything is upside down. Well, there's something we can actually do about it, and that's reverse the curse, flip the symbols, teach the people the true meaning of these symbols. Myself, I'm so leery of symbolism, especially in the corporate world, because of how they use them, not to our benefit, that I highly recommend that you remove all corporate logos from your person and from your property, because like Jesus told the woman at the well, you know not what you worship. She said, we've been worshiping in this mountain for a long time. And he said, you don't know what you even worship. And we don't. You have no idea the spirit, the entities, and the energies that these logos invoke, evoke, or provoke. And we put them on our bodies. You tattoo up your bodies. You'll never get rid of these energies without changing those symbols. Whether you add a symbol over it, flip it, depending on what they've done to it to corrupt it, to put it back in its purest form. Because as Confucius say, this place is not ruled by words or laws. It's done by signs and symbols, because it's done on a subconscious level. It's like the whole world is asleep. That's why they call it woke and awake, because we have amnesia. We don't remember shit, and we're all asleep. We're asleep to the true language of symbolism. But the elite are not asleep. They've been awake for a very, very long time, singing us lullabies, getting us to do their rituals, whether it's in sports, music, religion. Pisces is about group think, and they control us on a subconscious level. And they're doing a really good job of it. The world's in chaos, in hysterics. A lot is coming down the pipeline. People are walking around in fear, confusion, and we're going to try to break through some of that. Fear keeps you in the lower chakras, which is the worst place to be. We have Kelly joining us right now. Hey, girlfriend. We started to call this podcast Coffee with Kelly, because you just can't leave her out. Come on, girlfriend. No? Okay. All right. So, tell us about, well, Ollie Bobby, tell us about what symbolism, how you woke up to the symbolism in tarot and came to understand that. What it meant to you. Because you could see it in the art, which I don't have the ability to do, obviously.
Well, I don't think it's wrong, like the Rider-Waite deck is not necessarily wrong. It's just, it's too wide open to interpretation. But for that deck, it makes sense. Because you want a wide open ability to wide open interpret for many different subjects and many, but what we're after is true alchemy.
Yes, the true alchemy of
and
tarot.
That, as a deck or as a tool, as a learning, it doesn't exist.
Well, to me, the tarot deck was initially created to hide the symbolism. Because,
yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
it was there to pass it along among the initiated.
Yeah,
but the general population was literally to hide it from things like the Inquisition.
Yeah.
And those who were seeking to destroy it and keep it from humanity.
Well, the original decks were the playing cards.
Yes.
And it was just a suit, a number or a symbol, and very minimal. And those who learned this, they knew. They didn't need imagery because they could just see the card and either through their connection or intuitively or whatever, they would just be able to give you.
Well, you had the four suits are earth, water, air, and
yeah,
fire.
That's what they are.
Where the elements are concerned. They're
and
the
then,
elements.
Yeah, then you had the pip cards, court cards, and major arcana. Yeah, I mean, it's no different.
All things in threes.
Yeah. And the only thing in the playing deck is we're missing the pages. Because again, we're supposed to be balanced. The page is a feminine, knight is a masculine, queen feminine, king masculine.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So they, in the playing cards, they didn't have them, but, whatever.
Margie, I like to watch David Oates, who does a lot of reverse speech, which also taps the subconscious mind. And when you speak, he would do like hypnosis therapy, and then he would take the session and play it in reverse. And their subconscious would start speaking. He's even done it for children. He was the one that set up the program for the CIA to start it, using backmasking and reverse speech, which they use heavily against us today. And in his journey and what he's come across is again, the symbolism that comes out of the subconscious, because it like your subconscious, like the Bible, it speaks in symbolism. Like it refers to the flesh part of your body, your lower nature, as the wolf in you, which reminds me of the Native American. There are two wolves in you, a good one and a bad one.
Which one do you feed?
Which one lives? The one you feed.
Mm-hmm.
And which is very prevalent to me today, because I keep telling y'all, throw your TVs out, turn your radios off. They're being used against you. You have no idea what you're invoking, evoking, and provoking. It's controlling you whether you know it or not. But again, the subconscious and symbolism, have you run upon, what kind of symbolism do you run upon when you're doing your sessions? Does it come out metaphorically, a lot of it?
No, once what I do is hold you in a somnambulistic state, and once we reach the your source self, is what I like to call it, or the subconscious mind, or the SC as Dolores would call it, you automatically go into third person.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're conscious, but you're present the whole time. You're consciously present the whole time, but your higher self is speaking, and you're listening to your higher self talk about you. It can be quite disconcerting, actually, but I do find that it is more prevalent over the last 2 years that a lot of people are coming in with energy attachments, and that would be what we would call discordant energies or disembodied. Some would call them disembodied souls that will come in and attach. And that can influence the symbolism, the thought processes, patterns of negative thinking.
Well, you know, the Bible speaks in metaphors. If you've ever had a near-death experience or been out of body or been in the astral realm, there are things that you want to express or communicate or say, but they're just not words to do it. So the subconscious itself speaks in symbolism.
Yes, but they're very detailed in explaining things to you, just like we're sitting here talking. It's very individualistic.
Yeah.
So
to that person.
Mm-hmm, to that person. So you will get the information that you need to know.
Linguistically, it's the adjectives that are used, our descriptive words that tell us what something looked like, what it feels like. It describes the event, the person, place, or thing.
Yes, and through hypnosis, that's exactly what we do. Because I'll have you, once you start going under, that's how the process begins. I get you to describe where you are, what you look like.
When you're describing, you are expressing a symbol, a symbolism, because there aren't words. You're using metaphors because there's not actually a word to describe what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and it's my job to figure out, because I'm the tour guide, you're in control the whole time. Your subconscious is in control of the whole thing. I just guide you through it and try to figure out, okay, what are you? Because I had clients with past lives that aren't even human. You know, so I have to figure out through description and symbolism what they are, where they are, when they are. So it can be quite challenging to figure that out, especially if you get one that's never even had a body.
Yeah.
So
I'm one
they're
of those.
just vessels of light.
This is my first body.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly remember I've never been in a body before. It's the most traumatic thing I ever experienced, ever, is being put in this body. To this day, I've lived a horrific freaking life. But the worst, most traumatic thing was being put in the body.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
Yeah, the density here is extreme.
It's so low. It's like being in a grave. To me, what you call life feels like death. And to die feels like being born.
Yeah. And that's the process of becoming. You're rebirthing yourself from the ground up.
Yeah. We're in our own little shells.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since COVID and locking us all down and separating us all. And social media that separates us all. We're all in our little shell. We're in our pods.
Yeah, the goal is, through my modality of therapy and hypnosis, is to dissolve that density so you can hold more light within your vessel.
What about you, Bobby, when you were reading other people's tarot cards? Say you're doing a reading for somebody and you see the symbolism. Were you always very honest with them? Or did sometimes you hold back and just not reveal everything that you're seeing in those cards? I'm sure it would tell you more about the person than the person can tell you about themselves.
Yeah, I would be honest if they asked a question, but most people don't even have really in-depth questions. It's usually a life decision or something
superficial.
Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff. I never really got, and I never practiced like professionally. I did it just to learn.
Yeah.
For the most part, I can do it, but I'm not a super fantastic tarot reader or anything. But yeah, if someone asked a question and I saw the answer, I would give them the answer, and they either liked it or didn't.
Brutally honest.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, there's no point otherwise. But and yeah, sometimes it can be very difficult, especially when you have somebody who can't be specific with coming up with an answer. So sometimes you kind of have to wing it.
Did you ever meet somebody and then when you threw the cards on them, you realized you didn't know that person at all? Or that it showed you things about them that...
Not really. Most of the people I practiced, I'm sure that can happen, no doubt. But most of the people I practiced with were like people I didn't know that well. Again, I I had walked away from everything and all friends, and I was totally starting over, completely new at that point in my life. So I didn't know anybody for very long at that time. So to say that, like, I'm not going to go to my mom and say, "Can I do a tarot?" She'd never do that. But yeah, there could be a lot of information when you lay those cards. Someone asks the right question and you get the right. It's amazing how the right cards, and I've done readings for people and they still don't believe it, and then I'll flip the next card over and I go, I'll give them the explanation for this card, and I'll say, does it have anything to do with what we just read, what we just did? And they're like, no, but it's not the card of all the cards that came up, they all exactly fit your question, and there's dozens of cards that have nothing to do with it. And I've witnessed this hundreds and hundreds or 1,000 times, and it's like the right cards always come up. And that's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. To me, the tarot deck is an interface.
It is, yeah.
It is allowing the universe to speak through symbolism.
Well, that's what...
Because it has no words, so it speaks through art. It's a tool.
That's what impressed me about the lady that taught me. I met her in a bar, and she's multiple wines in and not sober, and she just pulls this crazy Halloween deck out of her purse, and I asked her a question that only I already knew the answer to it, but I asked her a question that there's no way she knew the answer to, and she gave me the answer. And she's not even sober. It's like, there's no way she knew that. And then I said, "Can you teach me?" And she agreed to teach me the cards.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's how it happened. And I keep in contact with her somewhat. I can call her if I need to. But yeah, I've never seen the cards fail, if that's maybe what you're getting at.
No,
the imagery and the...
It's just whether we fail. Yeah. It's like the symbolism in alchemy. It don't lie.
It's there.
But we do, right?
And you always... Yeah, you always get what you need. And it don't matter how silly or stupid the question is. And the question... The answer can a lot of times lead to a more important question.
Yes, they
That's
generally
usually
do.
what happens. So you start with here and you wind up way over here. If the person's capable of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not, but yeah. So it's super fascinating. Again, I did it mostly to learn the imagery, because when I left my old world, I learned about iconography and how logos and imagery, things are hidden in pictures, and I needed to learn that. So that's what I set out to do. And it's led me down this alchemical path. And
become wise as the serpent.
Yeah, well,
remain gentle as the dove.
We're ruled by a multitude of different sorcerers. They're all competing for our energy. Yeah. That's really what it is. I just feel like
I've lived my whole life being dragged through it, kicking and screaming the whole way.
Yeah.
I've been fighting it the whole time.
Yeah.
And nothing ever really clicked for me till I threw my hands up in the air and said, "I quit. I give up."
Well,
what do you want from me?
I willingly
surrender.
Yeah, I had
to went
surrender.
into
I had
it.
to let go.
Just every cartoon in the 1980s, 90s, when I was growing up, everything's centered around this stuff. And so it was, I guess my generation, I think, has been primed to do this through our media.
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of crazy about
what's signs and symbols.
What's in the media now. It's for the 10-year-olds. And you see what's going on now, and it's for 20 years from now.
Yes. They project.
Right. That's how this is set up. It's not, what you see now is not, it's for 20, 30 years from now, maybe less. But
what
anyway.
happened in the 60s is a reverse manifestation of what's happening now.
Yeah.
Then it was peace and love, and now it's hate and war.
Yeah, it's
a reverse.
But once you learn the symbols and how you can see this stuff coming from a mile away. It's super important.
Super important.
You can't. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, the great thing about learning the symbolism is once you know how the magician gets the rabbit out of the hat, then the trick don't work anymore. Once you know the symbolism, then their power over you ceases to exist, and then you begin to learn how to take power over them and use them to your benefit instead of them being used to our detriment.
Yep, you reclaim your power.
You reclaim your power, like here in America. The first thing we need to do is to take Lady Justice off the Supreme Court building because her scales are unbalanced and she's blindfolded. We need to take the crack out of the Liberty Bell. We need to turn that rainbow flag right, and it's upside down. It should mirror the heavens, not mimic it. Purple should be on top in accordance with your chakra system.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the Two of Swords in tarot also looks a lot like Lady Justice. She's also blindfolded.
Yeah.
With the swords facing inward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they call it criminal justice for a reason. Yeah. There's no such thing as victim's justice. No. There's no justice for the victim.
Well, yeah, and it's set up that way.
Yes.
It's the layman's interpretation of that is what's wrong.
Yes.
It's working 100% correct.
Yeah, it's
doing
exactly what it was created to do.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true.
You need a complete overhaul.
Everything that's going on is exactly what it was designed to be. And it's all a big illusion, delusion, a mind F, a psyop on the mind. They even told us as far back as Albert Pike that World War III would be a war for the mind.
Well, actually, it's a spiritual war.
Yes. The mind is etheric.
And they're ramping it up because they know that we're waking up. Yeah. We're remembering ourselves.
Yeah.
So they're ramping it up because they want to keep you asleep.
They want to keep you in the lower chakras. They want to keep
you on the wheel.
Sexually stimulated, angry,
depressed,
in fear,
in anxiety,
and number one, in confusion.
Yes.
They want you in confusion. It's chaos magic that's being perpetrated on the entirety of humanity right now. It's not just us.
Yeah.
It's the entirety.
Well,
it's the elite against humanity. Yeah. Literally. It's a battle
the
for
definition
our souls.
of fourth generation warfare. If you look up that term, fourth generation warfare, it's a war for the mind. And as annoying as it is to see completely fabricated wars in nations that are basically on movie sets, is that really a worse thing? Well, people actually aren't dying.
If you look at
maybe.
It in their long-term agenda, what they've done, at least in my lifetime, is break down the family and give the government more control over the child.
Yeah.
When you have a child, it's not yours. From the minute, literally, when you get pregnant and the doctor starts caring for you.
Yeah.
You're born upside down. The first thing you are is slapped, and then they take your feet print, which are your soles, the soles of your feet. And they never use those again. You know, you commit a crime, they're not taking your feet print.
Yeah, it's a ritual.
That's a ritual they're doing. So they have control over our souls. I love the way you explained it the other day about that's because you became a corporate entity.
Yeah,
Go through that spiel again.
Well, I years ago when I was studying the natural law and the legalities and the difference between ecclesiastical law, de jure law, and corporate law. Maritime, yeah. Admiralty. There are big differences. They have their different purposes. Some are more brutal than others. And, but basically I remember a video where, multi-hour video where I watched, and someone made the statement they had read in some bylaw thing where the first thing that you touch with your feet, that's what you belong to. And so from that ritual of taking the footprint, which is never done again, like you're saying, and then you are bound, I guess spiritually or through the corporate, through the corpus, your body, to that paper, instead of touching the ground first. And in addition to that, you're in a hospital. Your mother's not standing. She's on her back, which she shouldn't be, It's a total ritual.
You're birthed into contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in Waterworld.
Yeah. you port. You come into port. The doctor has to sign you into port.
Yeah. First, you should be at home.
with a midwife
with your feet on the ground.
and a birth
Or
when you lay
or in a tub. You could be in a bathtub or something like that. There's
Water.
nothing wrong with that.
I mean, we've even discussed what are they doing with all of our placentas?
Yeah, and again,
They
I
take those
don't
from
even want
us.
to know that.
yeah, I had seen
What
presentations
do they do
on
with
that
all the foreskins?
information. Yeah, they're taking
Little
them.
boys' rituals.
So anyway, there's tons of information. It's a lot harder to find.
Yeah,
a lot of
everything
it's been taken
so
down.
much has been scrubbed since Google took over.
But 2014, before then, 2015, and some 16, you could find a lot of this information. But it's gone now. It's very hard to find. But
Yes,
you can still find it. It's just difficult.
Most of it is just in people's minds and brains, in their memories. Those of us who learned it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, as hard as all this is, when you understand or you see this for what it is, you really can start to appreciate, even though it's difficult, what we have. And as bad as the corporate structure is, for a lot of people it really works.
Yeah,
It's
with
just-
circuses and popcorn.
Yeah.
It keeps them occupied. It
It's just the
entertains
people
them.
that decide to
They
leave.
want to be entertained.
All the world's a stage.
Yeah, the people that want to leave, it's very difficult because you're not allowed to get out. But for the vast majority of people, they like the system. And it does work, as flawed as it is. It's not perfect in its flawlessness. It's perfect in its purpose. And it does serve a large number of those.
Yes, entities.
Yeah.
Egregores. Ollie, Bobby, and I watched Branded. I've recommended this movie to y'all several times. It is a 2010 movie, a Russian movie. It's an English movie, it's English actors and everything, but it's set in Russia and it's produced over there. But it's for American audiences. And it's about the egregores
Yeah.
and the logos and the brands and the corporations and what's really going on.
Yeah.
Through what they're doing with symbolism. And in the end of the movie, they banish advertising, which is Mercurian. It's Gemini. It's he's the adversary. The advertiser adds a verse to entice the mind. Advertisement. And they're liars. Everything they tell is a lie. If they told you the truth about the product, you wouldn't be too interested in buying it now, would you? So they have to lie. Everything about our culture is a lie, but that's what people want. Right now, Hollywoke is breaking down. We went from Hollywood to Hollyweird to Hollywoke, and now it's going to be Hollywho. Because people want entertainment. They're not getting it. They're getting programming, and they know it, and they don't like it. It's ruffling their feathers. But all of this is coming down. It's coming down by design. It's coming down by design. And what the elite have prepared for us is not good. It's not good.
Well, it's predicated on you accepting the offer.
Yes.
If you don't accept,
It's
they'll offer you
consent.
all the garbage, and you just have to constantly say no. And that's it. That's literally all it is.
And that is so important. That's why it's so important to claim your sovereignty now.
Yeah. Everybody needs to claim their sovereignty, which is actually going to be part of the lecture I'm doing.
Oh.
What's going on is they're stealing our crowns. Everything that's been done from 9/11, even before that, but especially 9/11 forward, it's a ritual to steal your crowns, your crown chakra. They're shutting it down. The corona crown. Corona means crown. It was a crown virus. It was a crown chakra virus, is what it was, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not through. The upside down flag, rainbow flag, is to steal your crown. They've got you shoving it up your own derriere. So they're definitely after our crowns, and they use the root chakra of sexuality and fear to do that. To
Absolutely.
keep control.
And the
The
way you
ego, the lowest chakra egos of Jupiter and Mars. Desire and
Absolutely.
emotion.
Yeah.
And we've never had a generation that's been so demanding with their desires and overly emotional to where we're going to be stuck with it as our only pronoun before it's over with. We're going to be back to the Greek. They only had one pronoun. I don't know how languages like Spanish or Portuguese are going to reconcile it, any of the Latin languages, because their pronouns, their gender is built into the word. Hermano, hermana. Bambino, bambina. It's the vowel that dictates gender. There is no he, she. It's built into the word.
Well, we're coming up on a reset, so everything gets flip-flopped towards the end.
That's funny you say reset, because we have two resets going on, actually. We have a natural reset that's just built into the timetable, and then we have the reset of the elite, who's trying to control the natural reset and steal our futures, steal our sovereignty, and steal our crowns.
And how do you reclaim that crown? By understanding the symbols, reversing them like you say, getting rid of the programming, and
claim your authority,
and claiming your authority over yourself.
When the shit really hit the fan for me and I landed in California, I wasn't there 30 days, maybe less. The Pope was coming to America to do the 2016 Reset Together ritual. And Jesus was going to reset your life. So they wanted you to text in and tell them what you wanted Jesus to reset. And this is worldwide. This is a worldwide ritual. The Pope went all over the world doing this ritual. So my dumbass texted in. And I wanted my sovereignty back. My spiritual sovereignty, my physical sovereignty, my birthright, my sovereign name, my sovereign everything. That's what I wanted. Reset. Turn my sovereignty back over to me. And I started getting calls from Catholic people all over the world. Countries all over Europe, Switzerland, in Italy, even in Texas. People in Texas were calling me to talk to me about my reset that they saw. People that were running this power play. And so I definitely pushed some buttons. I don't think they expected anybody to request that.
Interesting.
But ironically enough, since that time, I've got my crown. I got my sovereignty. I got what I asked for. And
well, you stated that out into the universe.
I did. I stated it out into the universe. Very arrogantly, even. I was kind of just rubbing dirt in his face.
You verbally took back your power.
I verbally took back my power. And it manifested itself in my life. And I stopped letting people micromanage me. Tell me what I need to do and how I need to live. And
you set those boundaries.
I started setting boundaries with a zero tolerance policy.
And
I'm not willing to go there anymore.
Of becoming
I'm not willing to go there anymore.
Yeah.
I'm claiming my sovereignty. There'll be no more submission. And I set out to... it's at that point where everything was clicking for me, and because I didn't believe in astrology, and alchemy didn't make no sense. And religion was just a freaking lie from one end to the other, at least what the sheep were being fed. And it just clicked one day. After I did that, when I got my crown back, I saw it was all the same thing. There is no new thing under the sun. Yeah. It's as simple as that first sigil magic. You got to have 3 sticks to make a sigil. It takes 3, because all things come in 3s. Fixed, mutable, cardinal.
It can be quite disconcerting, especially if you come from a religious background.
Yes.
Like we do, to
it's hard to get over
understand. Well, it's a betrayal. I felt betrayed. I really did. And to see...
I call it spiritual rape.
Yeah, that's a great terminology for that.
Spiritually raped.
Yeah, and you have to go through the disillusion of it all. And you can't turn to your church because you start asking questions, it's like, you.
Yeah,
they straight up dismiss you.
Yeah. That's what happened to you in the JWs, wasn't it? You got dismissed, or you dismissed them?
I dismissed them. Yeah.
They were already in the process of ostracizing you.
Well, it was a social thing, not officially. I mean, I can go back, and there's not really any, other than me being missing, there's really nothing against me. I don't ever want to do that unless it was to infiltrate. But the thing I saw when I got out, again, I was studying Tarot, and like I could look at the cards and I could see the biblical symbology in it.
Right.
Right. You could look at the wheel, and the wheel is it's the fixed cross.
It's all three crosses.
Well, it's primarily the fixed cross, because there's the four,
those four
and that wheel is the four living creatures in Revelation.
That's correct.
So they're all connected because they're all the same thing. The Bible is basically an alchemical book.
Yes, it is. It's nature's alchemical magic.
With some
and that in
stories.
itself blew my mind.
Yeah.
Well, once you realize all that, you realize that life and nature itself is an alchemical process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the great thing about that is alchemy really has one purpose, and that's the philosopher's stone.
Yeah.
Turning the lead into gold.
Turning the lead into gold to
Within
extract that
quintessence
of a thing. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, assuming you have this higher connection, which some people may not, you have to forget everything that you may have previously known. Or this place isn't believable.
No.
So you have to come here knowing nothing, or it doesn't work, and you're here suffering for no freaking reason. So you have to forget. That's a big part of the process. And
if we remembered, we would all stand up and say no.
Well,
absolutely, the game would be over
in this place
before it even got started.
It wouldn't have a purpose.
We're not playing this game. I don't like Monopoly.
So we're doing what we're supposed to. We're all here doing our thing, and some people are supposed to.
Well, we all received the call.
Yes.
And a lot of us kept hitting that snooze button for many, many years. But it's come to the point where you can't hit that snooze button.
Yeah, we all have been born upon one of those crosses, one of those paths, one of those pillars, and to know that is to know yourself, to take up your cross and follow him.
Some of us are carrying multiple crosses, like you said.
Yes.
I didn't know I was double crossed until I came across you.
Most people, 24 out of 30 people are double crossed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody I've checked is double crossed. It just blows my mind.
And the symbolism of the Union Jack, Great Britain, that's a double cross. Yeah. The Cairo is a double cross.
Well, I'm going to tell you, even though they've got us, it seems the illusion of being locked down, every one of you has the key within you, and you can open that door at any time.
Yeah. This
you just have to have
separation of the wheat and the chaff, the sheep and the goats, is kind of going on. We're being divided into this camp of duality, which, again, there's no such thing as duality because all things come in threes. You have yours, mine, and ours, me, myself, and I. Yeah. There is no duality.
That's an illusion.
That's an illusion. It's a triality because there's always the observer. There's the two in the conflict and then the observer. The two in the conflict in yourself and then your higher self, the observer. And you got to step into that third person perspective like your clients do. You get into that third person before you really see what's going on.
Yeah, because you are not this flesh and bone.
Not. No.
You're not.
It's just a skin suit. We're water babies. We're born in Pisces, in the abyss. We're water babies. All right, this is getting to be about an hour. Unless there's anything else the two of you would like to say, we'll wrap this first ever Signs and Wonders podcast up and start getting ready for the next one.
Well, I can't even talk, I'm getting tongue-tied. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It wasn't as scary as,
I told you it'd be very comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not used to, I've gotten really good at leaping. But flying by. The Virgo in me wanted to, outline it, what topic I'm going to have, but
No.
flying by the seat of your pants can be very exhilarating.
It's really the only way to do it, because that way your notes are fine just to jog your memory, but let the Spirit move. What did Christ say when they take you up to be judged? Don't prepare what you're going to say, because in that self-same hour, the Spirit's going to give you the exact words you're supposed to have.
Yes, I would say just stay pure of heart.
Yeah, pure of heart.
Pure of heart, because we're moving from the mind to the heart space.
Yeah, the
And
mind
we're
is
operating
Mercury.
on the heart, from the heart space.
Yeah, they're moving us
that's
from.
the goal.
We need to move from that Mercury mind to the Venus heart, and
Absolutely.
they so demonize Venus, but all the symbolism says it's Mercury. Our biggest enemy are our own minds.
Absolutely. Well, when they said that, let the wheat grow with the tares, that is within you.
Yes.
You are not the only consciousness in this vessel.
Well, you're not a single consciousness to start with.
No,
There are three of
you're
you.
multidimensional.
Your mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely.
Your heart has a mind of its own. Your ass has a mind of its own. Your gut
Your
has a mind
gut,
of its own.
yeah.
Has a mind of its own. Your tongue has a mind of its own. It just says what it wants to without thinking it through.
Well, I would say don't be in fear. Fear is a false emotion appearing real. And to
yes.
have the courage to claim your crown.
Fear only drags you deeper into the lower vibrations.
Yeah, the only one that can
the
stop you
lowest.
is yourself.
Yeah, nobody can do it for you but you.
This is a solo journey.
Nobody can take up your cross and carry it but you. And if you're double cross, you need to choose one and get rid of the other. Just embrace one and ditch that other one, because
I've kind of learned to integrate both, because I'm strong Aries and Pisces.
Well, that can be useful for those
It's very
that double
useful.
cross, if you can handle carrying two crosses. But the trick is, you can't carry them both at the same time.
No, you cannot.
You have to lay
I
down
can
one
vouch
and
for
pick up
that.
the other. It's like putting on a hat.
Yeah.
When you're a policeman, you put on your hat to go out, but when you're off and you're going to a ball game, you put on your cap. You're just putting on a different hat. But yeah. All right, people. We're getting there. This is happening. This is Signs and Wonders with Lavette and Ollie Bobby. And we'll see you next week.